In the order of things, even in the animal world, there is a leader. In the animal world, it's usually the strongest. And the strongest one emerges and retains his or her place. It's not always the male. If you watch Animal Planet, Meerkat Manor, it's the dominant female who rules the roost. But there is a leader, and that leader is followed. And so when we speak about a leader in our faith, the leader in our faith is Jesus Christ. And we follow Jesus Christ. The image emerging today is Jesus Christ as shepherd. More precisely, it's Jesus Christ, we say, the good shepherd, who is to be followed because he is the way, the truth, and the life. And as the Lord unfolded his ministry, he made it clear that salvation was open now to all, not just the Jewish people to whom God had first revealed himself, but in his Son, redemption is offered to all of humanity. So, as the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles tells us, the Gentiles rejoiced at this. Everyone is included. And we go from that reality to the second reading of St. John's vision in Revelation of all the holy ones around the throne of the Lamb. And then we find ourselves somewhere in between these two realities. And so, what do we do? What we do is respond in faith that is offered to us by the Lord, by the Good Shepherd. And we follow the Good Shepherd. Now, the reason we follow the Good Shepherd is he knows the way to God's eternal kingdom. He was sent by the Father. He accomplished redemption. He ascended back to the right hand of the Father, and he invites us to follow him. And so the church's threefold reality of the church triumphant in heaven, and the church suffering in purgatory, and the church militant on earth is one reality of the church and God's kingdom that can clearly be seen. And so Jesus establishes his church. And Jesus was wise enough to know that those of us on earth need a visible leader. So he gives us a visible leader in the Apostle Peter and the successors of Peter down to the present time. Now think about it just in human terms. Leave religion out of it for just one moment. And look at the church as an institution visibly seen on earth that has existed for 2,000 years. Nothing else comes close to it. Every great empire has come and gone, and yet the church, established by Christ, remains and will remain until the end of time. There's an old legend in Rome at St. Paul's outside the walls, and where you see these round discs. Well, all around St. Paul's are round discs like that, and portraits of the Pope, from Peter all the way up to Pope Benedict XVI. And the Roman legend is, when the room runs out, that'll be the end of the world, when there's no more room for the Pope's portrait. Well, they came to the end, and they just very cleverly went around on the other side and started over again. So we have some centuries yet to go, even for the Pope's portrait to be put in St. Paul's outside the walls. But Christ gives us this visible shepherd. And it's foolhardy to think that we can devise our own way to God's eternal kingdom without the shepherd left to guide us. You know, when we talk about the Immaculate Conception and the Assumption and the virgin birth and the resurrection and the ascension, we give our assent and faith to that. They are realities, and it makes us feel very good that God has accomplished all this. So we readily embrace these things. But there's another side to life. It's called the moral life. And when moral issues touch us, then we begin to squirm. When the church says you cannot do something, like abort a baby, someone will say, oh, you're infringing on my rights. What about the right of the baby to be born alive? And so these moral issues touch us. Racism. I don't like people different from me, therefore I don't have to love them. That's contrary to God's moral law. Or even our own brothers and sisters of the same race, sometimes we're at odds. I don't like them, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to love them. Contrary to the command of Christ to love one another as he has loved us. So when these moral issues touch us, that's when we're challenged to follow the leader, to follow Christ, to follow the vicar on earth he is placed to guide us. If we refuse to follow Christ, we're going to wind up somewhere that we wish we had not gotten to. And so, my brothers and sisters, this is the reality that's present today, the reality of the challenge of this gospel to follow the Good Shepherd in the way that the shepherd has laid out. The church is not a mere human institution. It's divinely instituted by Christ. It is the will of God. It is the way we go to God. It is the way we find our salvation. And therefore, we must love the church, love the Holy Father, above all, love God, and love one another, living lives that are holy and upright and decent and stand in contradiction to the things of this world when they are in contradiction to the gospel. May God give us the grace we need to follow him to eternal life.